This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the iRacing Formula 3.5 series here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, historic circa 1995 layout. I'm Austin. I am joined by Marco Barbonera, and I hope y'all are having a great time.
Hello everyone, yes, welcome to Barcelona historic layout, a layout that has been a bit controversial as of late. But we won't get stopped, you know. So there's a couple of bits and pieces of the track where you can gain an advantage, but I'm sure these drivers will have a gentleman agreement, Austin. No cutting, no shenanigans, as we have seen in the Porsche Cup. We are 1 minute away from the end of qualifying, and I think before we go into the meat of the race, Austin, let take us through the championship standings.
Yeah, championship standings after a pretty chaotic last week of what happened at the Nürburgring.
Sorry, which are not showing because someone has kicked me out of the broadcaster room. They should work now. No, they are not. Beautiful, great start to the proceedings tonight. But yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry, Austin. Go ahead. If you have them, I will try to make them work as soon as possible.
Yeah. Standing on top of the podium, still at the top is Tim DeLisle ahead of Edward A. Samborski in P2, with Rob Bohr in third, Greg Olson, Erica Lindstrom, Paul Ilbrink, Alexei Sirotkin, Omar Baha, Lombard Morik, Patrick Leovetz, George Esposito, Rinaldi Augusto, I Am Keeman, Shane Russell, Steve Honan, Cedric Bill, Noriki Mizuno, driver from Japan, only driver from Japan in the top 18, followed up by Manu Domingo in 18th, Rob Crouch down there, and a few other names going all the way down to the 50th. And everyone in this top 50 there is some representation in this grid as qualifying is just ending. Tim DeLisle starts up on pole, followed by Rob Crouch, Greg Olson, Everett Samborski, Phil Reed, Steve Honan, Ronald Augusto, Jorge Exposito, Cedric Bill, Paul Ilbrick, Joshua Stewart, Rob Bohr in 12th. He's followed up by Omar Baja, Thomas Knoll, Samuel Ausberger, James J. Pinksker, Benjamin J. Sissoko, and Stephen Chatnell in 18th.
Oh yes, we are so ready to go, man. I've been waiting for this race for quite some time now, and I think that big question is, of course, will Team Delisle, Greg Olson able to get through turn 1 without getting punted? And will we have, Samborski, Crouch, possibly Onan Reed, but they're all great drivers. Ilbrink starting a little bit back than expected in P10, so it might be an interesting, very, very interesting race. Of course, 25 laps around this beautiful racetrack in the historic configuration again. So we'll have the corner on the backstretch. It will be deeper, if I'm not mistaken, than what it is right now. And of course, we won't do the chicane in the final portion, but we'll do the double right-hander very long, and I'm expecting some massive slipstreaming around the front stretch for these guys.
The front stretch is going to be very important here. And remember what happened last week at Nürburgring. What happened on lap 1 to Greg Olson. Is it going to happen again? The 5 red lights are on, and away they go for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. And it's a great start from Tim DeLisle and Greg Olson. Rob Crouch started up onto the inside. He's falling back side by side. They're going 3 wide all the way back into the midfield as Tim DeLisle leads him in to turn 1.
Good start from seemingly everyone, no drama as they head into the famous... Oh, Reed is a bit wide there. He's able to keep the car, of course, thankfully for these drivers. They have plenty of real estate to contend with. When they go wide, there is not a lot of grass around here, or gravel for that matter. But plain and simply, they have, the tarmac runoff areas, this being a grade A track, of course. Good start from everyone. I don't see any major drama around the field.
No drama at all from what I can see. Just a few bad starts for a few drivers, but some great starts across the field. Paul Ilbrink already up 3 spots as we look back from Rob Crouch in P2. And you can see the draft trains already starting. Edward A. Samborski getting caught out as Phil Reed diving up the inside.
Oh, he's around.
Around goes Phil Reed. Reed sent it up onto the inside, but he was just a little bit too ambitious, and he got onto the loud pedal just a little bit too early, and the car in front of him of Samuel Ausberger went around as well. Opening laps, and that was not Samuel Ausberger. I believe that was Benjamin J. Sissoko. It was Benjamin. And on these opening laps, the tires, they need to be more warmed in, so you can't really push them as hard as you want in these opening corners. That's what's happened to Phil Reed. So we see Stewart in a good old battle with Steve Honan. Side by side, Paul Ilbrink already up 5 spots. He's tied for the biggest mover, Stephen Chatnell, at the back of the grid in 13th, is already up 5 spots as well. Steven started from last place. So good start for Paul Ilbrink and Stephen Chatnell. Rob Bohr, 3rd in the championship in a battle with Steve Honan. Heading onto the back straight is going to get good enough draft. DRS is activated for Steve Honan. Rob Bohr is going to use that to his advantage, dive down to the inside, or just make it seem like he's going to try to inch his way in there. They're still side by side, and here comes Rob Bohr. Looking around the outside.
Trouble for Augusto.
Ooh.
Lost a couple of places. Go back to this fight there. Still, Cedric, be careful of that yellow speed bump. And now Cedric Bill is also joining the party for MXS Racing, and they fan out on the front stretch, trying to get the most out of their car, but also not giving any kind of slipstream to the other drivers.
Thomas Knoll heading into turn 1. It was at the back of that little battle. Now he's in the direct middle of it. He's got Bohr and Honan going side by side. Bohr holding down the inside line as he got past Honan. So we're heading into this long right-hander. A lot of different lines being used right now to get out of that dirty air. But they're so close in this. It looks like 5-car battle for 9th. So we're heading down the back straight. Knoll in the draft all by his own, though. No one really around him in this group that can challenge him, so he's just going to take this lap very easy and try to close into Bohr and Honan. Try to catch a mistake.
As they head down once again through the old final corner of the Barcelona racetrack, and here we go once again. Tim Delisle still in the lead. He's got 1.1 seconds over Rob Crouch. Still great fight here between Bill and Reed as they fan out on the front stretch.
Cedric Bill looking down the inside. Can he get it laid out of the brakes? No, Chatno cut off the nose. And Chatno holds P12 now. Here comes Reed trying to get back at Bill.
Great stuff, great fight here between all these drivers as they keep on heading into the middle portion of the track. Really difficult here, Austin, to find a way to overtake, especially, you know, the only hard braking zone is the one that they have in the historic old corner at the end of the backstretch. Here you just need to follow and basically try to not lose too much gap because of the dirty air, and then pounce with the overtake basically.
Yeah, the hard overtaking spots in Catalunya is not only F1 current track problem, it also was a problem in the old layout as well. But with this drafted DRS, they can make these moves happen. And I think going back to the 95 layout, we went back to the old 95 F1 graphics where they used to be this interesting color choice. Marco, you want to explain that?
That is the old F premium digital package for mid 2000s, and it was you know, something, you know, if people don't like it, we will revert to the old one for next race. I thought it was a nice touch as we see Bill going wide. Reed going wide, trying to get past the number 15 of Bill, as Chantal is in front of them. Tim Delisle is not been able to pull away from from Crouch in second place. At the same time, as you can see, Greg Olson is still holding on there after you know, a difficult start of the race in the last couple of weeks for Delisle and Olson. I think they are very, very happy to be in the position they are right now.
Yeah, Crouch was involved in that incident as well. So these three have all been involved in some shaky incidents in the last 2 weeks. So they're all happy to get a clean old start here. And this race is already 5 laps down, and they're still in that three-way fight for first between Delisle, Crouch, and Olson. But really, Crouch has closed in on Delisle a lot. Also behind them is Edward A. Samborski. The top 4 have not moved at all. But speaking of moving, Paul Ilbrink is up 5 spots, but the biggest mover is Steven Chatnell, who started from the back of the grid and is up in 12th place, up 6 spots from where he started. The biggest loser so far is Phil Reed after we saw that opening lap spin where he tried to move on Edward A. Samborski.
Oh, very wide there was Reed, almost collecting that speed bump there on the chicane. Now, of course, if you are new to the series, ignore the fact that they are. You have to ignore the fact that they have the DRS panels there, because this car, it works a little bit different than in F1. You can basically activate it whenever you want, but you are limited to 8 times per race. And of course, those 8 times, you cannot like spam them one after the other, but quite simply you can only activate them after a rest period, which is I think around 70 seconds if I'm not mistaken. Therefore, you can use it to attack, you can use it to defend. It's basically, it's in the hands of the driver. There is no set place where you can activate or deactivate the DRS.
Yeah, and you can tell if a driver is using DRS if you can look underneath the rear wing at that small slit. If it is open, the DRS is not activated, but if it is closed, DRS is activated. Let's see if Paul Ilbrich uses DRS right here. He is not going to. It looks like Exposito right behind was using DRS last time by. They're flying around the final 2 corners. Not that chicane. They're carrying a lot of speed onto the front straight. I think some drivers might like that because they can pretty much flat out it. As Chatnell, he's activated DRS as he's chasing down Noel. Noel going down to the inside to defend. Here comes Chatnell swinging around to the outside. Late braking move by Chatnell heading into turn 1, and Chatnell is up 7 spots.
Oh, Exposito with an issue.
Oh, into the wall.
Let's get a replay of that super quickly.
Oh, just ran onto that green runoff area. The drainage heading onto the edge of the track. Kind of cool feature of this Catalunya track. There are drains that just separate the track from the runoff area to keep water from going onto the track. Very cool high-tech feature, but it's very slippery if you get out onto those. Noel now defending from Reed. As I just love that corner so much in the historic configuration. It doesn't bunch up the rest of the guys. It's more flowing. It's not as tight as this final corner. Oh, it ejected into my veins as DRS is activated for Noel. Reed's has got DRS as well. Chatnell, I believe, has also activated DRS. As that DRS train has pretty much kept them all in the same spot. But Reed holding down that inside line is trying to get past Noel any way he can.
Trying to get past, not easy, like we said many times around here. Good driving from Thomas Noel, actually, one of the driving forces around this broadcast. So if you, for example, just like Thomas, want your nice picture and your livery in this broadcast on Saturday nights, and you have, of course, the appropriate authorization from the logos on your car, because we are on the iRacing Esports Network, you can, of course, donate and help Thomas and the rest of the community keep this broadcast alive, and you will have all your beautiful liveries shown on the broadcast. So great job by Thomas. Not easy to get a community behind to get a broadcast done, especially in this day and age, as Thomas Noel still defending, but let's see this time because Reed seems to have a good run and Bill is also coming.
Yeah, Reed had a great run heading into that final quarter. He backed off just a little bit, letting Noel have the straight, and Noel used DRS to a wonderful extent to defend from the charging Phil Reed. But that's 3 times in a row he's used DRS on that front straight, so he's definitely running low already, 10 laps into this 25-lap race.
Yeah, again, 8 activations sound like they are a lot, but I don't think they are if you really think about it, because it is, especially here, you are going to run out sooner rather than later if you keep using that those changes, you know, every basically every lap or every 2 laps, more or less, considering how quickly they are lapping 125s, more or less around here. Let's stay with these guys. This is the closest battle on the field. Of course, let's not forget about Stefan Chantal there, just at the front of this pack. Let's jump on board with Reed for a bit.
Reed following close, getting so close in that corner. And it's just, ooh, big bit of oversteer right there. But he's got a great run. He's locked into the gearbox of Thomas Knoll. 0.3 seconds, 3/10 right behind him. As they head down the front straight. He's in this draft. Even if he's using DRS, he's going to get up right there, side by side, perfectly lined up for turn 1. Who's going to be the last of the late breakers, Knoll or Reed? Reed is on the apex, and he's got the position for P12.
Fantastic move there.
And Noel's in a fight with Cedric Bill right now. Bill holding down that inside line, and it's about to come a 3-way fight with James J. Pinsker right there. Noel holding around the outside, Cedric trying to hold it down the inside, and James on the switchback now, trying to take advantage of Cedric's opportunity, but unfortunately didn't work out for him.
Go back to, I mean, this fight is absolutely amazing. Let's stay here because oh, what a dive there from Pinsker.
Very late move by James. Very ambitious as well. I've raced with James a few times back in the days, and he sent a few of those on me. And let me tell you, they take you by surprise. This is Benjamin J. Suzuko. What's happened here? Oh, he's just hit the curb. Those curbs are very dangerous. Let's see if they affect Bill or Pinsker right here. Bill holding off James right there with that good move on the front straight.
Oh, another dive. Wow, Pinsker is not fooling around, not messing around. Jump aboard with him.
James
As
likes
Reed,
getting very deep on the race as Reed makes another mistake, goes off the track.
Losing several spots. That jumping now is behind. Oh, Chantal is around. And now he slots in behind Reed, maybe even behind Baja as they are side by side on the backstretch. Let's see the view from the chopper. Seems like Baja will have a better run. Here comes on the inside the French-Canadian. Going for a move. Doesn't work.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to work for him right there. Steven Chatnell was the biggest mover in this field, already up 8 places, but he's back down to 16th, which is just up to 2. And now the biggest mover in this field is Paul Ilbrich, who had a wonderful start, I must say. Now Chatnell's behind Baja. Baja using DRS as Ilbrich and as Pinsker and Reed are still going at it now.
Sorry, because Exposito going a bit wide. Let's stay here. This fantastic fight. Tell you what, at the front the gaps are more or less remaining the same, but these guys here, they don't care about the position, if you ask me. They are putting on a fantastic show for us, and any one of these guys could potentially finish in P11. Now Onan is a bit far away. Exposito, despite his error, is still there, but Noel all the way back to Augsburger. I mean, look at this train of cars, absolutely remarkable the way they are fighting. This is what we've seen every Saturday night, basically, Austin, because we have seen it plenty of times that no matter the racetrack, no matter where they are in the field, we see some fantastic battles all around.
Yeah, we saw it at Indianapolis Road, that giant pack happening. Phillip Island Circuit had a massive pack throughout the race. It's also where we saw Tim DeLisle put on a masterclass. Nürburgring, the track kind of spread out, but there's always this midfield fight, which is super present right here as Knowles ahead, as Pinsker and Bill go side by side, heading down the front straight into turn one. Bill backing off just a little bit. He knows on how deep Pinsker likes to send it, and he's going to let him have it. We saw a big old wiggle from Pinsker right there. We look back from Bill on to Reed. Reed's been seeing a lot of red mist after making mistake after mistake. Lap one, he went for a little spin and onto the rallycross track. And then a few laps later, he went into the gravel pit.
Checking with our leader as he is pulling away from his closest rivals. 2/10 of a second gain the last lap. Let's see this lap. He lost half a second, did Tim DeLisle. He still holds 2 seconds over Rob Crouch. Reinaldo Augusto closing in on Paul Hilbrink for 5th place. Here we go. At the same time, here comes Pinsker on Noel.
Oh, Pinsker just bouncing off that rev limiter. He's at full res, swinging around the outside, very loose on the exit of the corner, but he gets P11 with a good dive around the outside. Not a lot of times you see that here.
Fantastic, fantastic stuff, Austin. I mean, it's too bad that this car is not as popular as it could be. I know, you know, there is one reason, of course. It's a very tough car to drive. I mean, these guys are doing this stuff, and it absolutely amazes me how brilliant they are, because this car, especially the new tire model, has become, if possible, even tougher to drive, especially at the beginning and of the race. And of course, with the new tire model, you really need to respect the tires. We have seen a puncture, if you remember, at the Nürburgring. Was it a couple of... Yeah, last week. Oh, here we go on the inside. It's Reed, and Noel holds it, but can he hold it around the outside? Then he will have the inside. He does, but a fantastic run! Woohoo! Oh, this is amazing.
On the brakes, Reed swings it around the outside, gets it to the gravel track. Noel held it on to the inside, and Noel holds on to P12. And Reed is charging like a bull in a china shop right now, trying to get around Thomas Noel as he can, but everything he does can't get past him. He's going to look down the inside right now, and it's Noel and Reed for P12. Reed holds it down onto the inside, and Reed gets past Thomas Noel in this 5-car battle for 11th.
Absolutely astonishing stuff, really making up for the relative lack of excitement at the front, even though there's just been an overtake. Reinaldo Augusto just went past Paul Hilbrink using, I would suspect, DRS. Oh yes, he was using DRS. You can see now he brakes and the rear wing opens, which is, of course, very important for safety reasons. You don't want to turn with your DRS closed. That would be a bad idea. Rob Bohr has disappeared and has reappeared. Good for him. Always gets scared when drivers disappear. And, you know, in the end, Pinsker has pulled away after making the pass. Phil Reed, a couple of mistakes here and there, but seems to have the pace to pull away from this pack here. So now we are left with Noll, Bill, Ba, Chantal, even though Reed could quite easily be swallowed back, and Rob Bohr. Oh no, there's a massive hit!
Honan in the wall. Rob Bohr, championship contender, and Steve Honan is going up, down, side to side like a roller coaster. And he's into the pit lane. What has happened here? So Rob Bohr gets loose off the corner exit, and he does a little 360. And unfortunately collects Steve Honan, who goes for a ride.
Was it Grosjean who did this thing basically in another corner a couple of years ago in F1? Like spinning and lighting up the tires like there was no tomorrow?
Yes, it was at this track actually, but it was not this
it was
turn, it was 3.
But look at that, exactly the same. Wow!
Oh.
I mean, I'm having flashbacks, they are not good flashbacks.
Yeah, not good flashbacks for me either, since something kind of similar happened to me.
Say hello to Patrick Letouvé, by the way, in the chat. Usually racing with us, but not today. So hopefully we'll have him back for next week. Steven Chantal is around. He was fighting with his rival Samuel Augsburger there. Let's see what happened to him. They were actually passing each other. Let's swing in to our colleagues, flying this chopper. We have a chopper on top of every car. Fantastic service provided by our chopper pilots. And there is only one blimp driver, as you can see. But a blimp driver that you snap your fingers and it switches to another car. I mean, how good is this? Fantastic stuff.
It definitely is very fantastic, the amount of control we have over every camera on the circuit. But now this battle for 12th is kind of separating with just 8 laps remaining here at Catalunya. Because that very tightly packed fight between 5 cars is now just loosely packed with 3 cars. And earlier on the broadcast, you said something about not cutting the corners. What did you mean by that for those who are not informed?
So there are a couple of corners where the racing cut track system doesn't work really well. This is the first one. You can basically put the entirety of your car on the red stuff and get away with it. But the bigger one, if I'm not mistaken, is the next one. Because basically you can cut all the way through here on the right side and basically gain a massive amount of time to set up then this final corner. I have to say, yes, I'm going to say it regardless, I don't care. iRacing, could have used, better, words or better timing to communicate the issue, because they communicated in the forums, not on a widespread thread on the front page warning for the drivers, because this is where the Porsche qualifying series is racing this week. And so yeah, it will be patched. It will be patched next week. Not an ideal situation, if you ask me, but whatever. It is what it is. As Steve Onan, sadly, sitting in the pits, car not working very well. Missing important bits and pieces. Rob Bohr is continuing. I'm sure Rob is thinking in his head about what he did, and he knows that your instinct there as a driver, of course, is to light them up and keep the car pointing in the right direction. But of course that was less than ideal because there were traffic oncoming. Again, it was exactly the same dynamic as the crash we had in F1 a couple of years ago.
If he just held the brakes right there until Steve passed it, nothing bad would have happened for it. Steve was already making his way down the inside. If Rob just locked up the brakes and just slide it, everything probably would have went fine. And speaking of working fine and on the limit, let's talk about James J. Pinkster up in P9. He is currently the biggest mover right now, up 7 spots from where he qualified. and he's sitting pretty in P9 right now.
Good stuff from him. He also kept us pretty entertained throughout the race with a couple of crazy moves. By the way, it's getting. Usually we race very early in the morning, but well, not here because we have. It's 11 a.m. We raced, I think, at 7 something in the morning in Laguna Seca a couple of weeks back. 24 degrees track temperatures, Celsius that is, which is pretty good if you ask me. Not very hot. No, it's very cold. No, decently cold, I should say. So perfect conditions for these drivers. A beautiful Spanish sun. Not a single cloud in the sky, as we can see from this beautiful shot from James Pinsker car. Stewart is having some issues.
Oh no!
Final
Josh
corner.
Stewart's off the track.
Oh!
In the final corner, no! Heart and mouth moment as he almost collects Jorge Lopez Exposito right there. Let's get a replay of Joshua Stewart as he just takes a massive slide heading out into the gravel. Gets the car going so it doesn't get stuck right there.
We actually
Right
got
on
lost track of him as he went so far to the left, but as we see from this camera shot, he didn't clip the barriers. As Rob Bauer is also going a bit wide there at turn 3, inviting I think Reed. I'm quite surprised that Rob Bauer's car is still working because he got whacked pretty hard by Honan in that crash.
It was a very significant hit that set Stewart in the air, but it may have just been wheel to wheel, and it may have been minor on Rob's end. It's unfortunately may have just hit Steve in the wrong way. Don't really see any damage on that car though.
Oh! Basically, I think he went straight through him. The iRacing gods helped Rob Bohr because it looks like Onan went straight through his rear wing and granted him a free pass for the time being. Car seems to be perfectly fine. Again, as per every Saturday night we say this, but this race has really gone by in a hurry. We are on lap 22 out of 25. Tim Delisle, your race leader, is in front of Rob Crouch, and Greg Olson top 4 hasn't changed. Rounded up the top 4 by Edward Samborski, who just had the fastest lap of the race with a 25.7. And then we go to the movers. Reinaldo Augusto gained 2 places. Paul Hilbrink, after a good start, has dropped to P6, but he started from P10, so a good run for him. Jorge Lopez Exposito, sorry, Jorge Lopez Exposito, after a spin. Spanish, Italian, and English, my brain was basically, stopped working for a couple of seconds. James Pinsker, we already talked about him. Joshua Stewart with the fastest Sector 1 of the race in this lap. And lucky boy, Rob Boer, who is holding on to the top 10 in front of Phil Reed. But Greg Olson, I tell you what, Austin, slowly but surely has closed in on Rob Crouch.
Yeah, you saw him on that last shot. He was using DRS to close in on Crouch, and we saw it last week at Nürburgring. Late in the race, Greg Olson was making a lot of ground up through the field. He is more of a late race runner than the early race starter that like a few of these guys are. So I expect Olson, that he was saving his tires for most of this race. He can start using that to his advantage and close in on him. We'll stay with those two in these remaining 2 laps as Boer and Reed got close together. Reed had a little scary moment coming out of turn 1.
And of course, Austin, the fun doesn't stop because tomorrow at 13 GMT, we wait you on our own channel, Apex Racing TV. There is a real-life race going on in Daytona right now. You might have heard of it. We are doing our very own Sim Racers World Endurance Championship. It will be a 1,000-kilometer race around the high banks of Daytona at night with GT3s the TCR cars, and the oh god, the Porsche Cup cars, of course. As Steve Chantal went around, and
Oh!
Austin will join us in the booth.
Yes, I made that. I got signed on 2 hours ago.
We will have a lot of fun. You know, I should really, send a letter of protest to Apex because last race we did, Lee was in the booth with us, and I could pass him broadcasting duties when I went for a break. But no, tomorrow it will be all day behind the cameras for me. So you better behave nicely, because the more hours we stay together, the more I get angry.
Wait,
this is
what?
going to be a great show.
What?
You don't want to talk with me after a 7-hour broadcast. But we raced in Barcelona. That was my whole point. I took it from a very, very large part. No, we raced in Barcelona for round 1. It was super exciting. So Daytona is going to be even better. With the, and of course in that championship you will see. I think the next time that we broadcast a championship will be in March, as the white flag is in the air, Sala Blanca, and of course the Porsche Cayman GT4 will join the fray of that championship when it is released. So we'll have 4 classes instead of 3, as Greg Olson still looking to get close to Rob Crouch, but not able to close the gap, as Phil Reed.
1.3 seconds separates those two. And speaking of the Porsche Cayman GT4, BMW GT4 was just announced for iRacing as well.
Austin, people say that the M8 is massive, and it is, but I've been a marshal at the Italian GT Championship in September. I was assigned the BMW Italia pit. They had an M6 and an M4, GT3, GT4, of course, 2 cars in 2 classes. That GT4 was massive. Like, it looks like you could fit an entire piano in that car and still have room to spare. So not as massive as the M8, but a huge car nonetheless. Very bulky. I like it. I absolutely like it.
The B of BMW stands for big.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of big, it's a big gap for Tim DeLisle as he crosses the final corner right now. 4 seconds in the lead as he takes down to the inside, clips a bit of grass right there, and he comes across the line. It takes 2 victories in a row for Tim DeLisle, followed by Crouch and Olsen on the podium. Now James J. Pincer, biggest mover, he's charging down on Jorge Lopez Exposito. He's very close to him, but his pace is slowing up suddenly. Half a second separates him, and it's looking like it's going to be Exposito ahead of James J. Pincer, but Pincer is going to win the biggest mover award, up 8 spots from where he started.
Thomas Knoll in the end is 12th. Sorry, Austin. Bill and Baha, all 4-letter names. I mean, we have Bohr, Reed, Knoll, Bill, Baha, so we have 5 4-letter names from P10 to P14. That's the useless stat of the day. And last of the running cars is actually Stéphane Chantal from Canada, and he rounds up your race, as we are just ready to give you the final race results from this Barcelona event. Here we go.
Taking the victory, it is Tim DeLisle ahead of Rob Crouch and Greg Olsen. It's a all Australian, New Zealand 1, 2, 3 podium ahead of Edward A. Samborski, Renault Augusto, Paul Ilbrink, Jorge Exposito, James J. Pincer, Joshua Stewart, Rob Bohr, Phil Reed, Thomas Ulf, Cedric Bill, Omar Baha, Samuel Osberger, Steven Chatnell, Steve Honan, and Benjamin J. Suzuko in 18th.
And I always manage to forget, after all the work I've done this afternoon, the most important string of them all, to remove the the F1 style point, the Formula style points. I'm sorry. Of course, this series, being an official iRacing series, gives you the official iRacing points that are calculated via the strength of field of the race. and so they change race after race. But Tim Delisle, certainly the happiest man in the room today. Let's see who we can bring in for an interview. Is there anyone waiting for us in the interview waiting room? Oh yeah, there's quite a queue, so Austin, take it away.
Oh, you're putting all the pressure on me, man. Let's bring in Greg Olson. He had a very tough race after Nürburgring last week, where he got it up to 5th. This race, he started 3rd and he stayed at 3rd. It was much cleaner, and I believe he would have liked it like that. So, Greg, how was that race for you? I'm sorry, Greg. Can you speak up, because I don't believe we're getting you on the Discord.
Sorry, is that better?
Yes.
Hey, there we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, it was a good race. It was I kind of messed up the last corner in qualifying. I really wish I could have gotten one or two spots further up the grid, because it's really hard to pass here. But yeah, it went pretty well. Rob did a really good job, so I couldn't do anything really to get past him. He made no mistakes, and his level was really high. We were close to Tim, and that was it. I gave it everything.
It certainly looked like you were giving it everything, especially in the last few laps. You were closing in on Rob Crouch. Something tells me you really want to be ahead of him. But hey, you're finishing on the podium, something that you were out last week. So it's always good to be on the podium.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to be back on the podium. I don't think I've been on the podium since Montreal. So, yeah, no hard feelings with Rob. I just want to get a 1-2 for positive sim racing eventually. So it'll come, I'm sure. So, yeah, I can't fault Rob today. He was really good, and I'm still really happy to be today.
All right. Well, thank you. Before we let you go, anyone who want to shout out?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Positive Sim Racing and the rest of my teammates, and our main sponsor, Universidad Isabel Primera, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Thank you, as always. Thank you for giving us a great show. Hopefully next week you'll get that 1-2.
Thank you.
All right, Marco. I believe Rob Crouch is waiting with you.
Oh yes, he is. Let's bring him up to our room, rudely interrupting him from the cool down room with the other drivers. Hello, Rob. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, really excited after that race.
So it was a chaotic race last week for you, but this week I think you can be much happier because finish second. Incident-free race, I would say. And yeah, talk us about how tough was it to drive around here, first of all, because it was certainly looked like it was not the easiest place to pass.
Oh, for sure. And that's why I knew getting a good start was important. And Greg got a great launch, and we were basically side by side going into T1. And honestly, like after my last couple of weeks, I was just dreading it, going, "Oh no, not again, not again." So I'm so thankful that he lifted and just made it easy. I figured that he thought he could just chase me down, but I got some good pace around here. I think about lap 10, the tyres start to go. I think the tyres start to wear, but you've still got all the fuel. And so I definitely noticed that, like I even said in our team chat, like this is the danger laps, just, focus through these next 3 laps. And then it started to feel good again. I was actually catching on Tim. I was so excited. I was so happy with myself. And then, the last few laps, he just keeps on going. He's just got the skill to deal with the tyre wear. And I was getting a bit worried about Greg behind me. But yeah, man, I was so excited about that race.
So yeah, I mean, you already partially answered to my next question, which was about the tire wear. We are used this season, at the very least, for this series to run very early in the morning, therefore with lower temperatures. I think I was a bit concerned because it was like an 10:30 start, but in the end I think you guys managed with a very nice 23-24 degrees track, so it was not as bad as it could have been later in the day.
Yeah, you're right there. If it gets up to about 25
and still you guys
degrees,
have trouble with this tire, so it's I cannot even imagine if you guys have to do like a I mean, yeah, just notice that next week at Spies at 11. 1 p.m. start. So
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, and it's going to be really popular too. So yeah, I think Spa is going to be a real challenge. And the other one that I'm not looking forward to is Interlagos because I think it's a late one as well, and like the temperatures get up over 40 track temps out there. So that's going to be really interesting considering we're running high downforce here. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
So, of course, one thing we've seen all throughout the season, no matter the track was this car, push DRS or not, really likes to stay in the slipstream. We saw crazy moves. Spa-Francorchamps, of course, there's plenty of places in the racetrack where you can slipstream your way. And I mean, how is it? How are you going to approach it? And what maybe I'm already going a bit too ahead of myself, but I think that first lap run through the chicane after Rouge Radion and Kemmel is going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Spa's always a track where driving smart is more important than trying to drive fast. So it's no use getting in a battle with someone unless you know you can kick away, which in this field you never can because like everyone down to even Josh, my buddy, he finished 9th and we're pretty close on pace. So you know that the spread between 1st and 10th is bugger all. Yeah, so I think just not battling, not ruining both of your lap times if you're in a group. Just tucking in and being a bit smart and doing the battling in the last few laps. I think that's going to be my approach.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rob. Once again, congratulations on this second place. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I've got to give a shout out to my team. So I'm part of Downforce Racing with Josh and Rusty and Nick. I'm actually a bit bummed that Rusty and Nick didn't make it into the top split today. They have to work on their iRating because they were both really quick here as well. Yeah, so big thanks to them. I really learned a lot practicing with them this week. I would not have been anywhere near as quick as I ended up being without their advice and learning from them. So, yeah, man, teams are so important. Find a group of friends and just learn from each other. That's my advice.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rob, and catch you hopefully next week.
Yep, see you around.
And so, Austin, I think now you are standing with the third man of our all down under podium, Tim Delisle.
Yes, I am standing alongside with race winner. Once again, it is Tim Delisle. You looked like you were in charge of that race from start to finish. A little scary throughout the opening laps, but then the tire wear started kicking in, and like Rob was saying, you were just on another level, managing the tire wear. So how'd you do it?
Oh, thank you. I didn't really feel like I was in charge, though, to be honest. The first few laps, I was thinking, like, normally the dirty air is really bad around here, and I thought, oh, I should be able to build a bit of a buffer to Rob, but he just kept, like, right on my rear wing. You know, I pulled the gap out to a second, and he got it back to 0.7, and I was just desperate for that dirty air to kick in, so it could be that that's what ended up saving me, and then he just wore his tires out a little bit more, and I was able to stretch them.
Yeah, certainly. We thought the dirty air was going to spread it out a lot, but we were surprised by the amount of drafting. I'm guessing that's what the historic brings a difference in the type of racing than the new current track configuration. Speaking of the historic track, which one do you prefer, historic or the current track?
Historic by a mile. I really hate that last sort of Mickey Mouse section, as Martin Brundle would call it. Just really slow, twisty. You just want to get on the throttle already. But with this historic layout, you can just, like, the second last corner's flat, and the last corner you can just slam the throttle on, and it just feels.
It certainly must have felt awesome on that last lap where you came onto the front straight and just started weaving all over the place as it took your second victory in a row. Once again, congrats on the win. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Thank you, just the team, Positives in Racing and our partners, you guys for the coverage, and yeah, just Rob did an awesome job today, and it was really great to have an all Aussie podium. So congrats to Rob and Greg.
I'm pretty sure everyone in Australia is feeling very proud right now. 1, 2, 3 on the podium, and I hope everything's going well down there.
Thank you.
And now we have we had the third, second, first, and now we have the fourth driver in our finishing results. We should be with us in the interview room. Edward Samborski. Hello, Edward.
How we doing, guys?
Doing fantastic. How about you with this fourth place finish today in Barcelona?
I will absolutely take it. It's not one of my strong suits here at Barcelona. Super fun track to drive, but it was honestly relatively boring, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, we noticed that you guys at the front were absolutely doing a race on your own. There was a little bit of a fight between Rinaldo, Paul, and Jorge, but behind those guys, James Pinsker, Joshua Stewart, Rob Bohr, everyone else, that was a massive, massive fight. It was so exciting, and it's crazy that this car, and it's not crazy, but also great that this car being so difficult, you guys are still able to put on a show, even on a track that is not really famous for, great racing like Barcelona.
I will absolutely have to check that out on the replay. Luckily I saved the race. Oh, I guess I could watch on the broadcast too, but James was actually mentioned that in the interview waiting room here. So I think that'll be some good fun for me to maybe eat some dinner, go back and watch it. Up front, it was a completely opposite race. It was a race of attrition, trying not to make a mistake.
Next week, what do you expect from Spa-Francorchamps?
Non-stop action. I think you guys are going to be sweating, getting the handkerchiefs out. The track with the very long straights and how this car has gearing and speed limited, I think you're going to see a lot of people drafting up next to people and not being able to exactly pass them. So it should be a lot of side-by-side into the corners, people being brave on the brakes. First couple laps should be really entertaining.
Cannot wait for that. Hopefully you will be there with us, Edward. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank Fanatec. I purchased their equipment, so they keep me going. It's good fun. I'd like to thank VRS. I like their telemetry and the whole everything they do. Any racing school in general, I think, is good. Thank you guys for the broadcast, and I think that'll do it.
Thank you very much, Edward. Catch you hopefully next week. Have a good rest of the day.
Sounds good. You as well.
Now, it's Edward Samborski in our next interview. He name dropped him a couple times during the race, and I'm going to bring in probably the guy who kept us on the edge of our seat throughout the race, the biggest mover in the field. Ladies and gentlemen, James J. Pinsker. How you doing, James?
Hello, Austin. I don't know. It's mixed feelings because the race was very exciting from my point of view. I assume the stream would have caught. I had a lot of battles. I think I could have had a much better result, obviously, if I had a better qualifying. So,
well, most people get this sense that Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya is very hard to overtake, but you proved them wrong by doing a lot of sending on the brakes down the inside and then a great move around the outside in turn one. Walk us through some of your favorite overtakes and your mind going into the braking zones.
So I remember, obviously, I qualified really far down the order because I just screwed up qualifying. Essentially, just messed up my laps. So I tried to get through on lap 1, didn't really get anywhere, and then I tried around the outside of turn 1, I think, on lap 2, and then I half spun it, which then put me to bloody last again, like complete stone dead last, and I had to get through from there. From there, then I think I did a couple of moves in turn 4 and 5, which were pretty fun. I gained a couple positions from people spinning, which was kind of nice. But generally, at this track, you have to overtake at turn 1. So most of the moves were just under the brakes into turn 1. But still, I think it was a very interesting and very fun and challenging race. Very different from what I expected.
It definitely looked very different because we were expecting something completely else, but it looked like you were at home. And another question: are you currently driving right now?
Yes, I'm doing I'm doing LMS. That's why I saw the interviews are taking a long time, and I was like, I signed up for LMS. So yeah, I'm in a qualifying session right now. I'm on a qualifying lap right now. It's been pretty terrible.
Okay, thank you, James. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
I want to thank my 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 friends and family for helping me to this result. I don't know. I mean, congratulations to the guys on the podium, Tim, Greg, and the other guy. I forgot his name. They all did. I wish I could have been. I thought I could have been up there, maybe in a top 5 if I qualified, but meh. We'll go again next week. See how it goes. Thanks for the broadcast.
Anytime. You focus on qualifying lap now. We'll get out of your ear. That's a first.
Well, at the very least, if I'm not mistaken, ILMS is at Daytona, so a track that all of us know like the back of our hands. And of course, we will know it even better tomorrow when we bring you the Dynamics, not Dynamics, the Abruzzi Sim Racers World Endurance Series at 13 GMT on Apex Racing TV's very own channel, of course, with myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, and most importantly, our American racing expert, Austin Knight, who I think now, just like myself, is heading for some real Daytona action. So, Austin, your pleasure to close the broadcast.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Marco, as always, with the cameras. And thank you to all of our wonderful supporters in chat. We always love seeing your beautiful faces, even if it is just a little small icon that pops up in the YouTube chat. It still brings us all joy seeing so many regulars in here and so many regulars and fans of this series. I'm Austin Knight. I've been joined by Marco Bernera. Y'all have a good night.